my name is Morgana, and welcome back to TOUCHSTARVED. We are picking back up at the end of the prologue where we chose Kuras. Yes, so I've decided that I actually will play every single demo route, and instead of just playing the entire game over for each character, because I saved right at that screen where I got to choose who I followed, every episode past the prologue, which has already been uploaded, will be specifically a character, and I'll put it in the title. So this will be Kuras's route, and then the next time we'll do someone else, and so on and so forth until they're all done. And then maybe by the time the full game comes out, maybe I'll choose like something different. I think because I do plan on playing the full game whenever it does come out, that it'd be really fun to just go ahead and have this available, right? So I have something I'm kind of looking for when I start the actual game. Now, that being said, let's just go ahead and get started. And yeah, so gosh, wait, so let me go back. So as we may remember, I followed Kuras out from the bar, and as we were talking, someone like cut towards us and kind of interrupted our talk while we were headed back to his clinic. So let's continue. Yes, someone cuts right across me towards Kuras, stopping both of us in the middle of the street. Even in the dim pink haze that seems to blanket everything, there is no mistaking that the pressed white uniform, stiffly starched hat. Another Cenobium cleric. I hastily step back, making myself as inconspicuous as possible. Can I help you? Nervous onlookers hastily part around Kuras and the cleric. The two form an island of white in a sea of teeming color. Enough. You know why I'm here. Then I hope you find this identifying. Kuras reaches into his coat and produces 3 tiny glass vials bound together with a thick leather cord. A silvery powder shimmers inside. Is he about to make like a smokescreen distraction and get up out of there? He gently flicks the glass, watching the contents swirl, and extends the vials to the cleric. This is it? They look extremely unimpressed. Are you doing business with the Cenobium? I thought you weren't fans of them. Appearances can be deceiving. He throws me a glance and a swift smile, but I'm too surprised to respond. Kuras was the first to warn me about the Cenobium. Nobody I met had anything good to say about them. And yet here he is, openly dealing with them in the Amaryllis district? I glance between Kuras and the cleric, who seems to notice me for the very first time. Good night. Alright. They bow to Kuras, offer me one extremely perfunctory nod, and disappear into the seething crowd. The entire crowd is pissed. Well, it seems that everyone in the lower districts does not like the Cenobium, so definitely like some type of, like all the imbalances have to be there, right? Like all of them. Morgana, is something amiss? Perhaps the fact that I just watched you talk mess about the Cenobium people and then you just gave him, seems like you had some type of work that you had to do for him and he tracked you down for it? What was that about, right? Yeah, what was that all about? Lower your voice. It's of little consequence. What do you mean lower my voice? The whole street stopped to watch you. That's all you have to say? After an earful you gave me about the Cenobium, you... Shh. Be calm. Okay, I think that this is a conversation we should have in private and not in the middle of the street, but don't shush me. He holds one finger to his lips, which suddenly curl in a cat-like smile. Okay, so whatever he gave him was not whatever the cleric requested. He's probably gonna mess up whatever plans he had to do with it. I just noticed his ring. That's a nice ring. For now, please join me on a short stroll. Okay, I like strolls. Kuras's golden eyes twinkle in the low light. He beckons me away from the main thoroughfare, down a side street filled with vendors hawking late-night snacks. What? Wait. Now, powerfully curious in spite of myself, I hurry after Kuras. Okay. Each of his long, graceful strides is easily 2 of mine. I I catch a glimpse of his gleaming white coat disappearing around the corner of the street. The moment I catch up, the delicious scents of freshly baked goods flood my nose. My stomach gives a loud rumble. Love baked goods. 1 honey pistachio cookie, please. Oh, that sounds delicious. That sounds delicious. Coming right up. Nice. Without breaking his swift pace, Kuras plucks the sticky confection out of the merchant's hands and offers it to me. The heavenly smell makes my stomach rumble once more. I take a bite without hesitation. I appreciate the sweetness of this honey pistachio cookie you gave me, but considering how hungry I am, I think I need a meal. We haven't had a meal all day. We got some type of cheap dough dessert earlier this morning. We've been out on our feet all day, and now we're eating a cookie. Like, if malnutrition doesn't kill us, starvation will. Or diabetes will. It probably tastes good though. Kuras watches me with an indulgent smile. I notice he hasn't gotten anything for himself. Does he eat? I feel like he's not human. He's probably like, oh, I ate earlier, but he actually never eats. Is that why he also didn't drink the alcohol? He could also just not like to drink. I don't think he's human because he has unnatural like glowing eyes. I don't know. I feel like Leander is human. And Minsk too. Mhin. What's their name? The non-binary guy. Yeah. I'm sticking with the Kuras isn't human. You're not hungry? You need not concern yourself with me. He stops mid-sentence, his eyes darting back the way we came. Oh, there goes the cleric. The hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I turn just enough to peek over my shoulder, hoping I don't look too suspicious. Sure enough, it's the same cleric who waylaid us on the street, now wearing a thunderously angry expression. Oh, I knew he did something. Uh-oh. Well, disappointment can be a learning experience. Glimmers of realization dawn over me as I stare up at him. Yeah, I figured he gave him something that wasn't what he ordered. What exactly was in those vials? Perhaps a rare and potent alchemical catalyst? Or some stale fish skin? The two do resemble one another, and it could be hard to tell them apart. Nice. Is he serious? I chance another glance at the cleric, who is now trying to elbow their way between the food stalls. A few people make way, but most don't even notice their efforts. The streets are far too crowded with hungry patrons. Shall we? Without even waiting for a response from me, he glides swiftly into the crowd once more. Oh, this is like Howl's Moving Castle, kind of when Howl saved Sophie before she got the witch's curse on her. When he saved Sophie from the people in the alleyway. Is there a point to all this? Honestly, the point's just to mess with him. That's the point, right? Is there a point to all this running around? In addition to my personal amusement, I suppose I would like to show you the sights. He is serious, more seriously fucking with me, I'm not sure which. But his quiet must show because Kuras' smile softens a bit. As I said, you have nothing to fear. I trust you. He ducks into what looks like an abandoned doorway, but opens into a small covered market. The stalls here are full of more spices than I knew existed. Even taking a short breath makes me sneeze. Oh God, girl. Kuras slows his pace, occasionally pausing to examine the insistent hawker's wares. Wait. He looks up from a display of livid red leaves. I thought that was going to be vivid, but it's not. Each as long as my forearm. You say that I have nothing to fear, but everyone in Aridia seems wary of the cenobium. People fear the obvious trappings of power, wealth, force, or a hideously or ostentatious tower. I've never heard that word before. For my part, I must find such trappings merely disappointing. The cenobium once had great potential. They squandered it decades ago in pursuit of trinkets, pleasure, and petty tyranny. You talk like you were alive back then. Their narrow prosaic interests have rendered them blind to all else that moves. I think that's the most I've ever heard Kuras say on any topic. You sound like you know them well. He probably used to be one of them, right? How old is he? I feel like he was back. I think he was around when the cenobium existed. I feel like he's old. I think he's much older than he's letting on. Kuras lets out a long, low sigh. You miss little Morgana. Familiarity breeds contempt, and I am more familiar with the Cenobium's crude methods than I would like. Okay. They do something to you, I'll fight them. We can't fight, clearly. Our character is... it's not that girl. Now I'm getting somewhere. Something beyond vague warnings or swift deflections. I decide to press the point while I have the chance. Familiar how? Kuras stops right in front of the display of pickled fruits, and I nearly run into his back. He steps aside at the last moment. His arm rests gently but firmly on my waist. I tense, but he's careful to avoid my bandaged hands. Our pursuer refuses to take no for an answer. Them again? I thought we'd lost them in the crowd. I craned my neck to look for the cleric, but Kuras shakes his head. This way. The next street over seems to be home to high-end brothels. It's full of steep stairways and shadowy passages, perfect for discreet trysts or losing a persistent tail. Pink curtains and painted facades sprawl around me like a giant, colorful warren. It only takes a few more twists and turns down blind alleys to narrow walkways before I'm completely turned around. Kuras, however, seems to be following some map in his own mind. He takes each swift turn with swift confidence, guiding me with the occasional nudge. The gaps between the teetering buildings can hardly be called alleys, so narrow we have to pass through single file. Just a little further. The effortless grace which he moves is almost infuriating. It takes every ounce of concentration I have just to avoid tipping over loose tiles, discarded clothes, and unidentifiable rubbish. Meanwhile, his long legs almost seem to float over every obstacle. His clothes are completely pristine despite the soot-stained walls on either side. How the hell does he do it? Some sort of enchantment woven into his jacket? A glamour spell? I'm still trying to puzzle it out when I realize how warm it is, with me practically tripping on his heels. The tiny gap between us seems to radiate heat, like beating midday sun on the longest day of summer. Stay close. I definitely don't want to get lost here. I stay as close to Kuras as I can without actually touching him. I promise I will not lose you. Was I that obvious? Our eyes meet, and despite my best efforts, I find it hard to hold his gaze. I've never seen eyes like his. Despite our darkened... My phone, I forgot to mute it again. I promise you, it barely goes off during the day. And then as soon as I want to sit down and do something, here we go. Wait. Okay, I don't know why that went away. Interesting. I've never seen eyes like his. Despite our dark and dingy surroundings, it's like Kuras radiates his own light whenever he looks at me. Thank you for indulging me, Morgana. I believe we have lost our tale. Nice. It's much quieter on the edges of the Amaryllis district, and the deals of the shadows look shadier. Did you enjoy our impromptu tour? Relief escapes me in a tired laugh. After the day I've had, playing keep away from a Cenobium cleric seems almost normal. I wasn't in mortal peril, so that's a nice change of pace, yeah? He laughs too, a soft and pleasant chuckle completely at odds with his usual cool demeanor. Are you sure we've lost that cleric? If there's one thing you can count on, it's the elitism of the Cenobium's finest. They were not designed to follow us this far. He sounds confident enough. I was starting to wonder we'd have to make a full circuit of the city to ditch them. Okay, so yeah, they're too like prissy to want to even bother following us to like this low of the district, right? Because he's right on the outskirts. A beam of moonlight cuts through the clouds, casting his face into sharp relief. However, I should escort you back to your lodgings. It would be unwise to let you go alone. I agree. What about you? Are you staying at the Wet Wick? Of course not. Then you're going back to your clinic alone? You just said that was a bad idea. I think that he and I are different, Morgana, but I think it's nice that you care so much about him. He pauses, stares at me, then his expression relaxes into a gentle smile. His shocked face is so funny. Fear not, Morgana. Only the most desperate or foolish would dare lay a hand on me. Yeah, I feel like you have hands or some very strong magical / alchemic abilities somehow. It sounds insane after 2 near-death soulless encounters, but part of me believes him. The few people who are still out huddle beneath street lamps and in doorways, desperate to be as close to safety as possible. Kuras, on the other hand, looks more relaxed than I've ever seen him. He's strolling down the middle of the street, bold as if it were broad daylight. Even walking alongside him makes me feel more secure, warmer both inside and out. I hang on to that faint spark of hope and screw up my courage. Did you mean it this morning, when you said I could come back to you for help? Every word. Okay, here we go. Now we're getting somewhere. All of his earlier mirth vanishes, replaced by calm focus. I don't know what to say to that. I almost expected his offer to be a courtesy, an easy way to get me out the door. The fact that he meant it. Why do you ask? I believe I have already made my intention to help you quite clear. His eyes flicked briefly to my arm, the one that he miraculously reattached when he found me. I can almost imagine him counting the neat stitches. I just wanted to make certain. I'm still figuring out who's trustworthy and who's trouble. I see. Iridia does seem to attract extreme individuals. It does. Including you? Morgana, I decline to incriminate myself in your eyes. Okay. I can recognize the smooth deflection when I hear one. Though if he won't talk more about himself, maybe he'll tell me about someone else. I decide to ask about... okay. Who did he seem to know pretty well? He knows Mhin very well, but I don't think he'll give me an answer for Mhin. I don't think he and Vere are on good terms. I think Vere, Mhin, and Kuras are not homies. And Ice, I feel like, is somewhere neutral in the middle. I'll ask about Mhin. You and Mhin sounded like you knew each other well. Kuras heaves a long, suffering sigh. I know them better than most, and less well than I would like. Like you, Mhin is a recent arrival. Their time here has been particularly difficult, as much as I would like to help. He trails off, but I know exactly what he's talking about. Mhin didn't seem like the sort of person who would accept help easily. Yeah, okay, I didn't know they were that new. Do they always pick fights that are thrice? I think we're missing a letter there. Their size? Twice their size. We're not missing a letter, I just can't read. I have implored them not to. They rarely listen. I can ask about all of them. Fantastic. Leander. Why'd you send me to Leander for help? You know Iridia better than Leander. The company he keeps can be questionable, but I had confidence in him. Yeah, his bloodhound seemed rough around the edges. Leander has always preferred the company of those like him. Survivors of Lowtown's harsh realities. You must have noticed how they flock to him. Yeah, they literally do. I nod. He seemed to know every single person in the Wetwick. And that's a good thing? Leander's closest peers trust him with their lives. I would say that counts for something. True. Vere. How do you know Vere? Kuras visibly stiffens, and I remember the venom in Vere's voice when he grabbed me. Ah, yeah, I figured they were not friends. That fucking doctor. Yeah, these two are not on good terms. It looks like the feeling is very much mutual. Yeah. Regrettably, Vere is one of my worst patients. How did you cross his path? He stole my room key. You are fortunate that he did nothing else. He is far deadlier than he seems. There is a reason he is not at liberty. A reason for the collar and chain. Yeah, he must have been, yeah. I figured. I don't know. I feel like there's a bit more to him. Like, clearly there's a lot more to him, but I don't know. Ice seems alright with him, though Ice also doesn't really live within city walls, but Leander also seemed alright with him, and Leander, as far as I'm aware, is supposed to be like, I don't know, the savior of the city or something. So he can't be too bad, quote unquote. He seemed pretty dodgy to me already. I hesitate, waiting for Kuras to elaborate, but he seems to find even the thought of Vere distasteful. Right? Ice. Have you ever been out to see Ice at the sea spring? Once. Only once? Seems like a spring with miraculous powers would interest a doctor. A long silence follows, so long that I'm not sure Kuras heard me. I'm about to repeat myself when he finally speaks in a near whisper. Ice is the rare newcomer who has proven himself immediately worthy of respect. Okay, so he's somewhat of a newcomer too. The sea spring is another matter. Hidden depths often contain unwelcome secrets. You could say that about anything around here. I think the sea spring is a little different, but yes, you could. A fair point. Nevertheless, I have seen many purported wonders, and the sea spring is unlike any other. Only time will tell what that means, okay? With my curiosity sated for now, I fall silent. I wish Kuras had given me a little more to go on, but he seems almost as tight-lipped about the others as he is about himself. I figured he would be, to be honest. By the time we're back at the Wet Wick, the Amaryllis district seems even noisier and more raucous than before. Drunken patrons overflow into the streets, which reek of spilt wine. How am I supposed to sleep with all this racket? I suggest the stiffest drink at the bar. Alternatively, a ball of wax. Very funny. Even with how tired I am, I'm not sure I'll get a wink of sleep. I'm about to say goodnight to Kuras when someone staggers out of the Wet Wick and right into me. Is this? I stumble back, heels teetering on the edge of the filthy gutter. Girl, don't fall in there. Morgana? The next thing I know, a pair of worn arms catch me around the waist. I find myself staring up at Kuras, pressed against his chest. His grasp loosens, but he doesn't quite let me go. Something shifts in his gaze, his eyes fix on my face, and I feel myself growing hot all over at his intense scrutiny. Really? Oh my god, he's just looking at you. Calm down. I recognize that the name TOUCHSTARVED in the game is literally us being touch-starved, but I didn't think it was gonna be like this type of, you know what I mean? Girl, you can he give you like a pat on the head or something? What will that do? What is he seeing me? What's he looking for? I can't take it. I can't. Kuras? My apologies. Okay. Even after he moves away, the warmth of his touch lingers through my clothes. Yeah. You know what? This is a really good depiction of TOUCHSTARVED. Not TOUCHSTARVED, the video game, TOUCHSTARVED, the word, like the actual definition. Oh my god, I just realized I had a YouTube video playing. Really hope that that is not like in my audio. I don't think it is though. I quickly tuck my clothes straight, trying to recollect my scattered thoughts. Girl, it's not like whatever. Good night. Thanks for everything today. You are most welcome. Oh, wind. He turns and slips into the crowd, though I can pick out his pristine white coat with ease. A chilly gust howls down the street. When did it get so cold out? Because he stopped touching you, bro? Oh, wait a second. Yeah, you said you were really hot next to him. Is he? I don't know. We say that there's monsters and stuff, but if monsters and demons exist, do angels exist? He's always wearing white, and he is a doctor. I feel like an angel would also be pretty warm, right? Oh, this is the choose your fate thing? Oh, wow, I might have stopped a little soon. Okay, I'm going to... Let me save real quick. Save here. Yes. Return. Choose him. So this is going to be our Kuras. Repentant angel. He is an angel! Okay. I have the other route. Wait a second. Let me go back real quick. Did I override? Okay, no. So I'll go back to this save here at the bottom when I'm doing the other routes, but this is going to be Kuras' route right here in the middle. Okay, so let's stick with him. From all appearances, Kuras is the principal doctor of extraordinary skill, but you know little about the man beneath the professional mask, and Kuras keeps even his friends at a cool distance. If you uncover his deepest secrets, will you like what you find? I think I will. Let's go. No! No! I thought, wait a sec. Oh, this is... I could have finished the game like that back then. Okay. Let me go back here then. So this time, I'm just gonna follow everyone else. So I did Kuras. Let me just start from top to bottom, I guess, since everyone's only gonna take like 20 minutes. Let's do ice. Let's follow ice. Morbid curiosity draws me after ice. I slink out the back of the wet wick. Sorry. Let's choose ice. If we don't remember, ice was the dude who was about to beat us up for accidentally bumping into him. Ice punched him in the face and dragged him out back, so he said, "You'll do." Is he taking his blood or what? I don't know. The alley's dead silent. Not really what I expected from a fight. Okay. A dull crunch reaches my ears, then a thud. I peer around the corner of the building, careful to keep hidden. Dark, glistening red splatters to the ground, spidering through the seams of cobblestone. It guides my eye to a collapsed body across from me. Once so violent, the roughneck is now little more than a sack of crumpled flesh blotted with mud. Oh, you killed him. I should have figured. Ice exhales, his breath misting against the cold air. Blood flicks his knuckles as he looms over the motionless body, his feet on either side of it. Alright? Fear spreads like ice in my bones. Moments ago, he was joking and friendly with the others, but now? Ice's crimson eyes find me in the dark. Not running, Sparrow? Oh. I wearily rise to my feet, moonlight illuminating my face. You fell? When did you fall? Oh my god. I thought I was out of sight. Oh, you were crouching. Okay, never mind. Got eyes in the back of my head. Yeah, I'm sure he does. Ice steps off the roughneck. My eyes stay locked on the body. It's wet with layers of blood and grime, completely still. Well, happens. He's alive. Oh, never mind then. I rolled my eyes just like I looked up and he made the same face I did. I was, alright. Are you sure? Yeah, you probably would survive that being not completely human, but I think a regular human might not survive. He's alive for now, but when he make it through the night, you know? When he make it through the week. Calling me a killer or a liar? Manslaughterer. But also killer. You know? Oh, I get to choose? Killer. Killer. Must be scared. If I cared about the guy, maybe? If I said liar, would you have taken that personally? You won't hurt me. It comes out more like a question. Oh, well, you should have told me that. His eyes flick down my body, then up again. Not like him, at least. What? You won't hurt me. Not like him. Okay. Don't hurt me at all, actually. His bloody knuckle catches his attention. He tries to rub them clean, but ends up smearing the blood around more. I keep making bad impressions on you. Yeah. I didn't know you cared about my opinion. Just prefer you didn't piss yourself when we talk. Fair? Annoyance bubbles in my chest. Well, I'm not pissing myself even with your bad impressions. Like the first time we met, Ice chips away at my fear, replacing it with irritation instead. Ice kneels beside the roughneck and frisks him. I can't help but wonder if the crime was worth the punishment, but I hold my tongue. Well, he was going to do the same thing to us in the bar, so now he'll know to keep his composure in the future and to, you know, show a little bit of decorum. Deftly, Ice's hands search the roughneck's pockets. It doesn't take him long to find his prize, a cigarette and a matchbox. Ew. I don't like the smell of cigarettes. He strikes a match, sparks light up his angular features with a golden glow. It's distracting for a moment, but my gaze inevitably drops back to the muddy body. You're just gonna leave him there? Yeah, I would. Wait, where else you gotta put him? Ice draws deep from the cigarette. He exhales heavily, smoke curling past his lips. I breathe in the sweet spice scent of cloves. Oh, it's not a cigarette. It's cloves? What is that? I guess a fantasy cigarette? As his tension melts away, he looks at me with cool, lidded eyes. Should I give him a blanket? If you got one on you. Unbothered by the maybe corpse, he takes a seat on the crate opposite of the bar. I stand awkwardly, forgetting why I came out here in the first place. An unpleasant silence stretches between us. Is it unpleasant for you or him? Weather's nice. I like cooler weather, so I actually probably would love it. Cold, murky, and humid, he means. I want to believe he's teasing me, but for all I know, this is pleasant for Iridia. Yeah, I like... I like colder weather, and I like wind and rain and everything, so I like fall rainstorms and all that. I love that, so I probably would be like, wow, it's great out here. Was the princess good company? Who's princess? Minsk? Who? Right. He takes another long drag. His metal ring catches the light of the cigarette in a flash of red. The soulless who escorted you back. What? Oh, you named it Princess? Oh, I forgot. I forgot about that. I was like, are you telling me there's a soulless behind me, bro? What? Jealous? I don't want you to call me Princess. I can't stand that as a nickname. Y'all, I know that like, this is slightly unpopular, I guess, for like women, women on the internet, but like the daddy, baby girl, princess nicknames, all that, mommy, can't stand at all. I can't, like, it's kind of gross to me. Jealous? I returned his smile. You have no idea. I think your nickname's more fitting. If it's not Momo, I don't want to hear it. Sparrow. Oh yeah, I forgot. I forgot he gave us a nickname. Let me give him a break. I'm not a fan of flirty characters. All of these people flirt with us. Kuras the least. I think that's why I chose him. But like I don't get flirted with in real life anyways. And two, I'm not overly receptive to it. Even when I watch like TV shows and things like that. So I'll be watching something and like a female character will just be melting at like the male character's words, and I'll just be like, come on now. He barely said anything. Sparrow. Not sure where Ice got it from. Maybe I should tell him to call me by my name, but it's kind of nice. Yeah, Sparrow's fine. Not that I'd ever tell him that. Before I can dissect my feelings, I quickly change the subject back to the soulless. You did pet her. Surprised it didn't kill me. I'm not, because he was in pretty good control of it. She was cute. She was kind of cute in a weird way. Yeah. You pet her and everything. I glanced absent-mindedly at my hand, remembering how she muzzled into my palm at my touch. Exactly. Isis' eyes softened for a brief moment. Her tail wouldn't stop going when she got back. The group of them don't get much attention. I think she thinks she's cute now. Wait till you see her tricks. If you say killing somebody to taught her tricks, Princess is a smart one. She'll learn anything if you have the right rewards. Sounds about right. The idea of tamed soulless is still so outlandish to me. I was mauled by a mindless, bloodthirsty beast, and he's talking about them like they're pets. Well, his are pets. Generally, they're not. But it's possible, all because of the sea spring. I need to get the answers he wouldn't give me before. I carefully take a seat beside him on the crate, contemplating my strategy. He doesn't seem to mind. He closes his eyes, tilts his head back against the wall, relax. Without the pressure of his intense Without the pressure of his intense gaze, I feel myself ease up too, as long as I keep my attention away from the bloody heap across from us. I glance over at Ice and allow my eyes to linger. Don't. Okay, guess we're doing this. A sea glass colored tattoo spirals up his arm, painting over grooves of muscle. Silver jewelry glints in the moonlight. It draws my eyes to his bare chest, rough hands, carved jaw. Girl. His ears, his horns, his pupils. You can't see his pupils. Everything about him is sharp, even the fangs that only show when he grins. But as dangerous as he appears, I can't help wanting to know more. I wonder how recently he crossed over to this world and why. What's your verdict? I whip my head in the opposite direction. But what verdict? Got a long, good look. Are you impressed or do you need work? Come on, now's your time, Morgana. My face grows hot. Say something back. Need to be quick. Quick, quick. What you gonna say? You're annoying. I've seen worse. Here we go. I've seen worse. I guess I've seen worse. There we go. He responds with a low chuckle, draped in smoke. Keep staring then. Okay. That section, I liked. I liked that one. My embarrassment spikes. Without thinking, I blurt out a change in topic. I have a question about the sea spring. Boredom eclipses his amusement in an instant, and he closes his eyes again. Of course you do. I thought I made myself clear what you'd be giving up. Before you kicked me out to go drinking, I still need to know more. My turn for a question. It sounds more like an order than anything else. I bristle under his narrowed gaze. Fine. He takes a long pull from his cigarette and lets the smoke trail softly from his lips. Your curse. What about it? This song and dance is all too familiar. The selfish questions come first. What does it do? Is it painful? Can you control it? I brace myself for the inevitable onslaught. Is the thought of living with it really so unbearable? Yeah, I mean, you can't touch anyone with your hands, but like, wait. I was gonna say, can someone else touch you? I don't mean it inappropriately, but I mean like, can someone like cup your cheek? Or is it like just your hands? Or is it your entire body? I guess it's not your entire body, considering the angel guy had to literally put you back together. But like, what if someone like cups your jaw or something, you know? Gives you a peck on the cheek, will they go mad? Or is it just specifically touching your hands? My dread dies with his words. No one has ever asked me that before. You survived this long, unless you're running out of time. I'd wonder if it's really worth the sacrifice. That's fair. That is fair. He flicks the cigarette aside and props his head on the blood-smeared knuckles. What do I know? I'm just an outsider. Well, so are we. My fingers fussed with the trim of my cloak. Ordinarily, I'd feel annoyed, but now my chest feels tight. You could have sold me if you were less honest. You're a shit salesman. He laughs under his breath. Harsh words. We lapse into silence again. This time it's surprisingly nice. The quiet, chilled air is a calming reprieve. You know, you didn't seem like an outsider back at the bar. A lot of people like you. Ice raises a brow at me. I start by asking about... Okay, yay, we can ask about people now. Let's start with Vere. You and Vere seemed pretty close. I was surprised to see that you and Vere were close, yeah. Blessing and a curse. For what I've gathered, most people think he's, I don't know, an asshole? Yeah. And water's wet. He said, duh. I wait for him to elaborate or add his thoughts, but he doesn't. So what do you like about him? He lets out a quiet laugh, as if amused by my question. A lot of things. He already named one. You like that he's an asshole? Temperament matches the drapes. Looks good in blood and better in tears. Did I say this in the last episode? I think I thunk it, but I'm not sure if I said this, but I'm pretty sure Ice and Vere definitely have done things together. Leander might have also been with them, but when he grabbed Vere by the waist, yeah, yes, it was to stop him from falling off the bar, but I feel like most characters would have like grabbed the shoulder or even like the chest or something. Looks good in blood and better in tears. Like, you've brought this man to tears. So I'm guessing y'all have... Clearly there's no like romance or anything there, but I think that you've both had some warm nights together, you know? Favorite things to tell. Sometimes it frizzes up if you... Yeah, I knew it! I knew it! I don't know if I said it, but I thunk it in the last episode. Ice and Vere, I knew it. He catches himself, clears his throat. It's hard not to let the disappointment show on my expression. Yeah, I figure, especially when the game like had those two trap me, like it was very clear that was a... I'm not gonna say poly situation, but they're fine with teamwork. There we go. Vere's one of the most honest people you'll meet. Just don't listen to a single thing he says. Fair. Those sound like complete opposites to me. Yeah, no, I understand. Like there are people who are who will never lie. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're correct. It just means that I don't know how to explain it. It just means that they're going to say it. It doesn't mean that it'll be correct, and it doesn't mean that it's going to be nice, but it is going to be true. Whether it's your truth or his truth, it's going to be true. But in order to not let that bother you, you have to like just let it bounce off and just let them talk. I've come across people like that. And to an extent, I do have some friends like that. What they say is true, but it may or may not always be specifically applicable to me or whatever situation I'm going through. But to some extent, everything that they say is going to be true. It's not going to be necessarily what you want to hear. And it might sound like BS, or it might be like out of nowhere, but they're going to be right. My PC is making some noises here. All right, that was interesting. I'm not surprised, but it was interesting. All right, let's hear about Kuras. I didn't know that you and Kuras were friends. In a way, I help him in the clinic sometimes. Doctor doesn't let most people closer than arm's length. Oh, interesting. Kuras didn't say this. Kuras just said that, well, I forgot what he said, but it wasn't this. And you do? Hearts on my sleeve. I could see that, actually. Get the sense Kuras was like that in the past. Must have been burned. Yeah. He trails off after the last few words, then shrugs. Yeah, I think Kuras is, the softest of the bunch. He's definitely like the most passionate, I'll say that. He opens up in his own ways if he's relaxed enough. I don't know how to even imagine that. You'd be surprised. Even the doctor has an endearing side. Yeah, I think Ice is kind of the the jack of all trades. I think the person he might not know the best is Mhin. Possibly. We'll see. I can't decide what's more intriguing, the fact that Kuras has an endearing side, or the idea that Ice has managed to coax it out of him. I feel like Ice manages to coax a lot of people's inner ways out of them somehow. Tell me if you uncover any of his other secrets. I'd kill to know more. Mhin. Maybe Mhin doesn't necessarily like you, but they definitely pay attention to you. I don't think Mhin likes monsters. Ice's reaction takes me off guard. He growls, pinches the bridge of his nose, as exasperated as I've ever seen him. I can make enemies as easily as I breathe, Sparrow. Doesn't bother me. But that dove's got it out for me for no reason. Maybe they're unsettled by the sea spring? It's not about that. It's because he's a monster. Racism goes without saying that they've got some issues. Don't think they understand that you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Yeah, that's true. Honey has left a bad taste in my mouth in the past. It could be the same for them. At least you're capable of a conversation. Fair. Do me a favor and teach the dove some manners. I thought they'd lay off eventually if I didn't bite. Hasn't happened yet. Okay, so okay. Kuras and Mhin. I keep forgetting their name. Kuras and them are besties, or close. But Kuras doesn't know as much about them as he would like to. Ice also wants to show that he's not going to like do anything to them, but they're still like rah, 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 right? So clearly something has happened to them that makes them the way they are, obviously. I briefly considered the possibility that Mhin wants to get bitten. I'm not about to propose that though. I don't know about that one. And Leander? You and Leander clearly get along well? Yeah. You like Leander? Doesn't everyone? He's helped me a lot since I came to Iridia. He even got me a free room at the Wet Wick. His charm has gotten him far, but for a leader, he sure likes it when others take control. I caught on to that one. Part of me desperately wants to ask what he means, but Ice continues before I get the chance. Surprised we get along? No, actually no. I thought you'd be at each other's throats instead of drinking buddies. I thought that, I didn't think Vere would get along with Leander. His smile is easy, but there's a dangerous edge to it. Leander's done a good job, for a human. Naturally, there'll come a time when his resolve is tested. Same could be said for anyone, but in this plane or the next. As for my resolve, well, stick around in Iridia long enough and you'll find out. This is making me want to play every single route when the full game comes out, but it's gonna take over 15 hours to get through. Wait, no, I don't know how long it's gonna take just to get through one route. I feel like it won't be quick. I nod slowly. I can't decide if it sounds like a promise or a threat. Got any more observations, Sparrow? My main point is that, speaking from experience, being an outsider usually means you don't have friends. I don't. You literally do. I level him with a tired look. Fine, I'll confess. I have one friend. If you say me, don't say yourself. Akudius. Okay. My skin prickles at the name, hair standing on end. Who's that? Hey, friend. It lives in my head. Oh. Is that the sea spring demon that controls y'all? It lives in your head? Ice taps his temple with a finger. Right here. Scared you off yet? That'd be the third bad impression I made on you today. I'm stunned for a long moment, processing what he's just told me. Then I burst into a fit of laughter. He's not joking. You're serious? Ice grins wide enough to flash his fangs. Deadly. It sounds so fucking absurd, I can't help it. On top of everything I've gone through today, it feels like I'm living a fever dream. Y'all are literally just sitting like feet away from a dead body too. I've come close to death many more times than I can count, encountered tame soulless and a horrifying group mind, and now I'm supposed to believe that there's something living inside of Ice's head? Well, who do you think controlling the group mind? Girl? There are tears in my eyes by the time I rein myself in. Ice waits patiently, lips quirked in amusement. Sorry, it just sounds so ridiculous. The tension that wound my shoulder so tightly has melted away, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe. I feel better. Dukas, where in the rat's ass are you? Is Dukas the guy laying in his own blood in the alley? Raucous, gruff shouts rise from the streets, echoed by the sound of heavy boots sloshing through mud. The voices share the roughneck's accent from the bar, the same roughneck who was still maybe dead and lying bloodied across from us. I nearly forgot about him. Yeah. I shove to my feet as their voices get louder. They're closing in quick. Ice pulls me by the wrist out of the alley, away from the beaming moonlight. We dive into a nook between the buildings, veiled in the shade of tattered canopies. It's a tight fit. Ice boxes me in against the wall, his body all but pressed against mine as he towers over me. Oh my god. For the second time today, the heavy scent of smoke envelops me, but this time cut with a metallic tinge of someone else's blood. Ice pitches his voice low. Quiet. My heart leaps into my throat. Girl, come on now. That should not have... the banter from before, I'll give you. I will not let you have this. I'm suddenly acutely aware of the heat radiating off of Ice's body, the feeling of his legs grazing my thigh, the closeness of his breath. Oh my god. This is bad. Why is it bad? I squirm against him and earn a burning crimson glare. Stop! Move! I can't take it! Just don't move! Do we really have to? Girl, he just said be quiet. His hand covers my mouth, muffling my whispers. He shakes his head. Don't. Right, like, please be embarrassed, like, quietly. Damn, he's over here. Dukas, wake up, you bastard. Up. A group of individuals, all brandishing spiked weapons, fill the alley. They all wear violet sashes, some kind of uniform. Okay. I wish I could see what they're doing, but Ice's arm all but blocks my sight. My eyes trail up the teal markings. They coil around his arm, his bicep. They lead up to Ice's collarbone, to the cords hanging around his neck, and to the smuggest smirk I've ever seen. Can we get a third option to look away? There's no point in glaring at him. You're quite literally looking at him. Might as well keep looking. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of options. My eyes dart away from his face, following the line of his necklace down his chest. The way the pendant hangs above the line of his abdomen, just before the skin gets swallowed by darkness. A thrill jolts through me, my face hot beneath his touch. Oh my god, this can't be happening. Why am I getting worked up in this situation? I've been asking you that for 2 episodes. Why are you getting worked up in this situation? You need to ask yourself this more frequently. I know you're touch-starved, and I'm not gonna go through the whole thing again, but gosh. Voices in the alley grab Ice's attention this time. Shit, he's got more broken ribs than whole ones. What kind of freak did this? How can you tell he's got more broken ribs than whole ones? You a doctor? Fan out. Find the cocksucker responsible. I'm not gonna make that. Nope. You three, take Dookies back to the base. At least he's still breathing. The alley clears out as footsteps rush away from us. We stay still until they're distant, melting into the rumble of the corridor. Only then does Ice takes his hand off my mouth. When we finally step back into the moonlight, the air is ice on my skin. I feel dazed and the need to keep my eyes off Ice at all cost. Was that really necessary? Girl, come on. Don't do that. The tremble in my voice is nothing but embarrassing. Staying hidden was the best option. Would be a hassle to run into them with you here. Yeah, Ice could probably take them out easily. You would be in the way. I understand. What, because I'm dead weight? Yes. Because 3 bad impressions are enough for one day. Also, we clearly can't fight, or else I wanted to punch the guy in the face in the bar. That wasn't even an option, which is upsetting. We need to get you some potions on hand or something. The answer is too vague for my liking, but he's probably right. Either way, I don't have the energy to argue. Come on, Sparrow. Let's get you home before you're framed for murder. Very funny. So you admit you killed the guy. We reach the front of the wet wick too quickly. I hate to admit it, but I don't want to separate from Ice yet. And not just because he never answered my questions. He's infuriating. As easily as he makes me feel on edge, he can make me feel safe, secure somehow. You know where to find me. At the creepiest place in the world. Take your time before you decide to drink. I happen to like your shitty attitude. It takes me a moment to process it, then my eyes flutter down to my feet. I'll keep that in mind. When I glance back up from the ground, Ice nearly... Oh my god, I'm losing it. When I glance back up from the ground, Ice is already down the street, disappearing into the throng of people. No fanfare, not even a wave. Asshole. So, who is Ice? Ice, the demon renegade. An intimidating yet laid-back outsider, Ice presides over a sea spring with unnerving powers. He offers you a miracle, but the price means submitting yourself to the horrifying presence at the heart of the spring. Will you gaze into the abyss for answers, even at the risk of losing yourself? What if I did? Alright. Yep. Alright, so let's head back here again. Now we're going to look at Mhin. I'm surprised Mhin is in the middle. I thought Mhin would be at the bottom, because we met them last. Can't let Mhin slip away so easily. They might be the most standoffish person I've met so far, but they're the only ones who seem even close to neutral on the Cenobium. Oh, maybe that's why? I don't know. My gut tells me they know more about that tower than they're letting on. Considering they were trying to break in, I'd say yes. By the time I make it out the bar, they're already halfway down the street. Drawing my cloak close towards the ward of the chill, I hurry after them, but at this hour, the Amaryllis district is full of carousing people. While Mhin slips through the crowd, with surprising agility, I struggle to keep pace. The edge of their cloak flutters as they round the corner. Determined to at least try to catch up, I take the same turn into a dim side street. But Mhin is nowhere to be seen. Didn't you learn your lesson earlier? I nearly jump out of my skin, whirling to find Mhin right behind me. They don't even look ruffled. It looks like Mhin has like a Renegon or something. They fold their arms, pointedly staring me down. I thought nearly getting eaten would teach you about that being alone at night is dangerous. Well, clearly they're different from us. I'm not gonna say what about you, but I mean, you're here, so it's a good thing I'm not alone then, is it? Mhin looks at me in blank confusion for a moment before realization dawns. Are you always so persistent? Oh, they're blushing. I don't really know how to read them. They shift between aggressive and hesitant without warning, and I have no idea how to tell which way they'll swing. But I can't help feeling a little thrill when pink sweeps across their cheeks. I kind of have to be. It's how I stay alive. Mhin recovers their composure quickly, their mouths shifting into a frown. They glance away, eyes sweeping across the street. You've been lucky so far, but it won't last. Nobody in the city is trustworthy. Not even you? Especially not me. I've met clams that opened up more willingly than men, but even if they don't talk about themselves much, they must have opinions about Kuras. You and Kuras seem to get along though. The tense lines of Mhin's features soften. He's an exception. Few people are willing to help others, fewer when there's risk involved, and of them, Kuras is unique. I have a feeling that Mhin doesn't smile often, but the curve of their lips, however slight, is unmistakable. Oh yeah, this is the first time we see them smile. They catch themselves, their expression closing off with near-audible snap. He's not the worst and a decent doctor, even if he asks too many questions. Alright. But nothing is really free here. Unique is one way to describe his work. Unconsciously, I grip my stitch arm, where the soulless severed it. Mhin glances at me almost knowingly. The only one of its kind, not replicable by anyone else. It's a fitting word. I wonder what injuries Kuras has healed from Mhin, and whether they know how he does it. But if they did, I doubt they'd tell me. I know that they hate Vere and ice, so I think they just hate monsters. How did you meet Vere? Mhin's face scrunches like they're just bitten into a rotten lemon. That perverse flea bag jumped me during fog fall, so I stabbed him and left him in the gutter where he belongs. My heart thuds bare hard in my chest. Their voices icy with disgust. The night air feels warm by compassion. It's only a shame it didn't stick. I suppose I'll just have to keep trying. Okay. So yeah, they did say, well, Ice did say that Vere, back in the day, used to just be horrible, like way worse than he is now. And Kuras said he's chained for a reason. So I'm guessing that Cenobium cleric that has Vere chained, essentially caught him. Like, almost like catching a predator in the wild and making that predator your pet or something, like your hunting companion. I remember how they dispatched the soulless earlier. Understanding anatomy is one thing, but that precise clinical strike spoke of practice. I wonder how many times they've killed to get so good at it. I take it your opinion hasn't changed? He fucks with people for kicks. Every sentence out of his mouth is either crass innuendo or conceited put down, and whatever he's done is bad enough that the Cenobium has him on a leash. Yeah. At first I was thinking maybe they found him as a child, or perhaps older but injured or something, and then just took advantage of that while giving him some limited freedoms. But it seems that he did something, and then the Cenobium was like, we need to take care of you, but instead of killing him, they're using him. Interesting. There are monsters living on every street. He's the only one who needs a muzzle before he's taken out for a walk. I was thinking that too. I was like, aren't there monsters living amongst y'all as well? Belatedly, I closed my mouth. Yeah. Let's talk about Leander. Leander seems fond of you. He's an idiot, an obnoxious blowhard who can't shut up to save his life. Okay, so Mhin knows that Leander means well for them. Their words are harsh taken at face value, but it's a complete odds with the flesh creeping up their cheekbones. Alright, Tsundere. Is that all? They huff. It seems to physically pain them to speak again. He does acceptable work. He pays on time, which is more than I can say for most, and his bloodhounds look after Lowtown. If he was capable of being quiet for more than 10 seconds at a time, he'd be almost tolerable. Their tone shows almost fond, but then their brow draw together like as they glare at me. But I'm not one of his bloodhounds. If they told you otherwise, he was talking out of his ass as usual. Okay. He has a lot of work to offer, and sometimes I take it. That's all. Okay, so he must keep some work aside from Mhin, knowing that they'll be back. Most likely in need of funds to feed themselves or whatever, because no one can keep track of them long enough or gain their trust long enough to get them to stay in one place. Once again, have no clue, but something about this, they need something within the Cenobium. So that's pretty much where all of their time and energy is going. They probably don't even have like a house or something. I don't know. Somehow I doubt that, but Mhin seems disinclined to say more. And ice. You don't seem to like ice. I don't like anyone, but especially not that bloodthirsty gangster. Okay, so maybe it's not that they don't like monsters, and maybe they just don't like people with violent tendencies for no reason. I think it's less that they like Ice and Kuras because they're human, and more that they just so happen to be human but are generally not violent people, whereas the two people who happen to be monsters are bloodthirsty and weird. Because they also say they don't really like anyone else anyways, so. The words tumble from their mouth before I can even finish my sentence. Did he do something to you? Yeah, Ice did say he didn't do anything to you. Beyond existing? No, but I'm not waiting around to get hurt first. That's not fair. That is not fair. All right, is he a bloodthirsty gangster? Sure, but you know, he calls you Dove. If he gives you a bird nickname, you're fine. The sea spring he runs with all those smiling red-eyed people, I suppose his one saving grace is that he hasn't forced anyone to drink from it. Yet. Well, actually, he mostly seems to tell people not to do it. And I'm not sure if we're the exception, but as far as we're aware, he doesn't want people to drink from it as a first resort. He tells you to think about it before returning. Like that one girl whose spine was rotted out, who would literally be, if not completely paralyzed and bedridden, dead, you know? So am I saying it's the best option? No, but for people who are in situations where they're deeply afraid to die, and the Cenobium, a place that could and should help these people, absolutely most likely will not. I can see why, you know? Monsters like him don't know or even care about what they have. It makes me sick. Oh, do you mean literal monsters or figurative monsters? That's not... Interesting. Their voice echoes down the empty street, startling me. Yeah, why are you screaming? Okay, so... I think that they're trying to break into the Cenobium to get something that will aid the masses just in general. That's my hypothesis. I blink, staring at them. Right. You really don't like monsters, do you? I knew they were racist. I was sitting here like, maybe they're not. No, okay. So I was right the first time. That's why I don't question myself. Mhin fixes me with a flat gaze, their pale eyes like chips of ice. Every monster forced their way out of the shroud into this world for some reason. I may not know Ice's reason, but to the vast majority of monsters, humans are food, playthings, or beneath notice. Well, what if the shroud isn't the best place for monsters either? What if they just snuck into the human world because it's their one time to be able to live freely without, I don't know, dealing with monster politics? That may simply be their nature, but I don't have to like it. And also, I feel like the monsters who are able to live amongst civilization and choose to like generally be tolerable are different from like the soulless, right? Aren't soulless also monsters, or are the monsters who are like humanoid beings separate altogether? And I'm not going to risk my life in hopes that any one of them is different. Okay, so racism. Lovely. A lot of humans fear or hate monsters, but there's something different about how Mhin talks about them. It sounds personal. Girl, you were no better in like the first 40 minutes of the game. I thought you were saying monster as like a slur at some point. You and Mhin are meant for each other. If you're going to keep asking questions, ask about something else. Doors bang open at the end of the street. Lights and laughter pour out of the bar, followed by a group of giggling people in white uniforms. Uh-oh. Cenobium students having a night out on the town. Mhin hesitates only for a moment before they start down the street in the same direction as the students. When I follow close on their heels, they grimace, speaking through gritted teeth. Why are you still following me? When I ask them about Vere, I notice something odd. Besides their behemoth dislike of him. While Mhin didn't exactly sound enthusiastic about the Cenobium, they were the first to speak of it with anything besides open animosity. Yeah. Are you trying to sneak back in to get something? Were you formerly a student? Do you feel like you should be a student? Like, what's going on? Ahead of us, the students pile into another bar. Mhin ducks into the alley next to it. If nobody in the city is trustworthy, what about the Cenobium? The line of their narrow shoulders abruptly tits. They lift their chin, giving me a wary look. Kuras must have warned you about the nature of the city's currency. Right, information and secrets. I fidget, uncertain. I don't trust Mhin's mercurial moods or all the things they aren't saying. Their eyes drip towards my hands, passing over the bandages like a razor, the pressure light but full of keen-edged possibility. I shiver, hastily shoving my hands into my pockets. They frown, but their gaze drifts away from me to the windows of the bar next to us. It's It's opaque, either frosted glass or caked in dust, but some of the warm light diffuses out into the alley. The Cenobium is a place of learning. If someone has questions that can't be answered somewhere else, the Cenobium might have the solution. Might. Or at least that's how it was once upon a time. These days, its doors are closed to outsiders. That's about what I expected from how I was practically shooed off earlier. Just as I was starting to relax, they speak again. Whatever you're looking for there, the cost may be higher than you're willing to pay. The sheer hypocrisy of their words ticks me off. What gives you the right to talk when you're doing the same exact thing to me? I think that they're giving you a lower price than what the Cenobium would give. What questions are you asking that only the Cenobium can answer? That's personal. Okay. So there is something Mhin's looking for at the Cenobium. Yeah, figured. I suppose that makes two of us. If they're following groups of Cenobium students around, they must not be having luck either. Everyone else seems to fear or hate the Cenobium, but you don't. They flinch, spurred onward by curiosity and my lingering annoyance. I press forward. You must know something about them, something you haven't told Leander or Kuras. But they're not letting you in, which means you're one of the outsiders. Uh-oh. In the space between one breath and the next, Mhin closes the distance between us. Mhin is about to... Slender fingers grip the front of my shirt and they slam me against the wall with shocking strength. I was about to say, you might want to watch your mouth with this one. The force of the movement knocks their hood back, messy hair fluttering around their face. I'm standing on tiptoe. Mhin's lifted me nearly clear off the ground with a single hand. The realization sends an electric tingle down my spine. Girl, before I can begin to wonder what that's about, Mhin snarls in my face. Just gets shoved against the wall by this tiny person and you're like, wow, why is this kind of hot? All right. Cannot stand you. You don't know what you're fucking talking about. Mhin's temper is crazy. I thought that Ice or Vere was gonna have a crazy temper, but it's Mhin. The angry twist of their mouth draws my eyes down to the beauty spot at the corner of their lips. I can't seem to stop staring at it. Girl, that's weird. It's incongruously delicate compared to the fire in their gaze, the steel bone strength in their grip. But then so is the rest of them. Neither do you. I don't even remember what they said. Neither do you. We're practically strangers, so why are you acting like you know anything about me? Your line of questioning isn't exactly subtle. It is not hard to guess that this has something to do with your hands. Yeah? You think you can use me to get into the Cenobium? Don't be naive. I don't get angry easily. I can't afford to when a moment of carelessness could be fatal, but when they mention my hands, my temper flares hot. Who says I'm the one who needs you? Realization strikes me like a thunderclap. You're not getting anywhere by yourself, are you? But you can't make yourself ask for help. You're stuck, and it's your own fault. I brace myself, expecting Mhin to snap at me again. Right. Instead, their gaze drops, eyes falling away from my face. Their brow furrows in frustration, but the twist of their mouth is miserable. Their voice trembles almost imperceptibly when they speak. I know. This city only cares about what you can give or what it can take from you. Information, power, connections. If you're an outsider here, nobody will help you. Nobody will even try. You don't belong anywhere. My heart thuds in my chest for an entirely different reason now. I seem suddenly very small. Alone, like me. Mhin jerks backward, releasing me so abruptly that I nearly stumble. Maybe they realized how close we were. Maybe they said too much. Just let them go. My fingers tremble, adrenaline still coursing through my veins. Even if Mhin seems intent on pushing me away, I don't want to curse them. Not like that traveler. Mhin takes a deep breath and lets out a sigh. When they look at me again, they look unusually serious. Maybe even sincere. You shouldn't be around me, Morgana. Find someone safer to ask for help. Before I can think of what to say, the tavern doors bang open. The Cenobium students spill back out, considerably drunker. Their ranks seem to have swelled with their barflies. The group floods back into town, towards a greater tower, raising moonward. As I'm distracted by the commotion, Mhin slips away from me, drawing their hood up. I catch their eyes just for a moment, then they're gone, vanishing into the crowd. Okay. Mhin, the cursed outsider. Despite their cold nature and familiarity with violence, Mhin is just as desperate as you to get into the Cenobium. You may be able to help each other, but they're keeping as many secrets as you. They claim they're dangerous, but they could be your only chance at getting into the Cenobium. True. Okay. Let me just press this button. Okay. I thought this was going to go very differently. I thought we were going to be getting a lot more about everybody individually, but I like that it's kind of quick and to the point. Let's do Vere. Of all the people I met, the only one left with... Whoa. Of all the people I've met, only one left me with more questions than answers. Here we go, Fox Boy. Vere knows more about than what he's letting on. I'm certain of it. And if he's feeling as playful as he was earlier, I might be able to get information out of him. Highly doubt it. Still, lingering doubt looms heavy over my decision. Can I really trust someone who lies so readily? Returning to the bar is slow work with the heavy crowd vying for drinks. When I find Vere, he's leaning against the counter with his elbows propped on the edge and the wine glass raised to his lips. Not for the first time, I catch myself staring, and judging by the looks I see thrown his way, I'm not the only one. Yet there's a clear ring around Vere. No one else seems bold enough to cross. One ear perks at the sound of my approach, but Vere doesn't so much look my way even when I slide to the seat beside him. I didn't think you planned on sticking around. A free drink's a free drink, even if it tastes like rat's piss. That's fair? Didn't you say you wouldn't be caught dead slumming in this shithole? Vere takes a delicate sip from the glass, but his tail thrashes below the bar. You've caught me red-handed. Yeah. He peers at me over the rim of his glass. In the low light, his eyes glitter jewel-bright with amusement. However, will you punish me? Oh my god, I forgot these last two were different. I figured my company's punishment enough for you. Vere's lips twitch and he smiles despite himself. So you've survived the night. Are you here for praise or will a head pat do? I'll take a head pat. I feel a muscle in my jaw flex at the cruel twist of his smile. His arrogance has made a full recovery, meaning only one thing. Vere has sobered up. So much for my plan. About that, turns out you were right. I did run into trouble. Now I can't decide if you're an oracle or an actual threat or just completely full of shit. Vere scoffs. Most women would buy me a drink before insulting me. After the way you jerked me around, if anyone's owed a drink, it's me. Vere falls so uncharacteristically quiet that for a moment I fear I've actually crossed the line. Then he props his chin on his wrist. I don't think you understand how things work here. Information is a luxury, one you flung so carelessly aside. I'm not following. If you valued my words, you would have taken them seriously. I gave you free advice, warned you of the danger you were in, and still you went prancing off to the sea spring. That's what you were warning us about? Small wonder the soulless didn't tear you into ribbons. My first impulse is to argue, but what he said doesn't sit well with me. How does he know what happened to me? Probably from ice. What soulless? How'd you know I left? Well, I feel like he probably learned this from ice, but what soulless? Oh, was his shadow on me? I'm gonna ask this. How'd you know about the soulless? Did you follow me? Of course not. Then how did you know? I have a very sensitive nose, remember? Right, how could I forget? Do you normally greet people by shoving your nose into their laps like an overeager Labrador? For a heartbeat, Vere's eyes grow wide and flat. Then he laughs under his breath. Only the ones I like. When he gets those pupilless eyes, those are his scary eyes, huh? Vere trades his empty wine glass for a long-abandoned tumbler sweating beside him. Soft lumps of ice bob in the watery dregs of whiskey. But the truth is, I despise most people, I figured. His eyes flicker over my shoulder and thin as Leander's boisterous laughter erupts from the other side of the bar. What about me, now that we've started off on the right foot? He turns, angling so he can look at me. His gaze is agonizingly slow as it glides over me. Finally, his lips quirk. I haven't made up my mind about you yet. Fair enough. It's a start, or so I think, until his eyes slide away and he turns back towards the bar. It's not Vere's attitude that bothers me. No, I expected that of him. It's the fact that I've got no idea how I'm supposed to hold a conversation, much less get answers, when he's already being so testy, and his foul mood is infectious. Did I do something to piss you off? He lets out a short breath. No. Another lie. I'm close enough to catch his subtle bristling of his tail. I'm just disappointed. People like us can't help but attract danger, yet you seek it out and for what? Cheap thrills? People like us? Cursed people? Question mark, Vere? I wasn't trying to get eaten by a soulless. There's something I'm looking for. And you think Mhin can help you? Leander? Are you willing to risk your life for those dipshits? What life? You've got no idea what I've gone through, or forget it. As I start to rise, but Vere touches my shoulder. It's a little more than a brush, but enough to give me pause. His eyes search mine, softer somehow than before. They couldn't even begin to understand you, but I could. How so? I could help you, if only you'd listen. How do I know I can trust you? You don't, but I'm slightly less inclined to waste your time with empty flattery or insults than those two. Is this what you desire? Is what you desire really worth risking your life for? That seems to be the question being thrown around. If you knew the kind of life I've lived, you wouldn't be asking. Vere considers the condensation sweating from his glass for a long moment before speaking again. Will you trust me? If I do your route. For now. Good enough for me. Vere raises the tumbler to me, then snaps back the dregs. Once he's finished, he wipes his mouth with the back of his hand. Let's talk, outside. If I have to smell Leander's skunky aftershave for much longer, I'll hurl. With that, he slips away from the bar, leaving me to follow the path of his long, trailing tail behind the crowd. Okay. It's so cold outside, the breeze cuts clean through my bandages, freezing my fingers. But if the chill bothers Vere, he doesn't show it. He lopes purposefully down the street into an alley. This far from the wick, the bar's racket is little more than an indistinct hum. The street's as dead as the Amaryllis district was crowded. I wonder fleetingly how many unfortunate lives have been ended in this dingy alleyway. You had questions? Ask. Vere's breath mists in the dark. In the cold moonlight, his shadow stretches unnaturally long over the cobblestone street. Am I gonna have an alley moment with every single one of them? Quickly, I've got a show to attend. Heavenly Lutis, as I'm sure I've mentioned. He looks down his nose at me, effortlessly imperious with one hand set on his hip. And for a breath, I'm reminded of the stark want that gleamed in his eyes when he touched me. Okay. If he weren't so pretty, I'd walk away. What? But I need answers, and I can't think of a better way than starting with the people I met earlier. If Vere doesn't prove trustworthy, one of them will. First, I ask about... start from the top. Ice. I'd like to know more about Ice. You two seem close. Yeah, you two seem Very close. He made an impression, Not surprising. He's strong, ruthless, easy on the eyes. All right, so Vere and Ice are, they've definitely done things. Ice said that himself earlier, but Vere seconded that, essentially. Gives it almost as well as he takes it, even if he's awfully greedy. Okay, I was gonna make that joke earlier when one of the guys, when I was doing Ice's route, when one of the guys came into the alley and called them that thing that I laughed at. I was going to say, I was gonna make a joke about which one Ice is doing. Like, is he the one doing it or receiving it? And well, the answer is clearly both, which is fair, and I think that's really funny. And he's awfully greedy. You know what? I could, I'm not surprised. I feel like you are too. Well, this is not a conversation I'm gonna have right here. Big everywhere, really. I'm moving on. But simple. You know, they say about still waters. Is he blushing? Goodness gracious. I don't, but I'm too distracted in the change that's come over Vere to ask. Okay, so I think, whatever. I was gonna say that I don't think that Vere and Ice, I don't think Ice necessarily has romantic feelings for Vere, but I think that Vere's feelings for Ice, I think that Ice and Vere really do care for each other deeply and physically. I'll say that. A coy smile plays at his lips when he winds a finger around the chain dangling from his collar. I thought you didn't like most people. Ice isn't most people. He's better. Our eyes meet and Vere's tender expression curdles. Okay, so Vere likes Ice in a different way than Ice likes Vere fully. Or if Ice does like Vere in that way, he doesn't show it. He makes a tiny sound of distaste in the back of his throat. No, I want to keep hearing about it. It's cute, Vere. Open up. He's more trouble than he's worth. Yeah, okay. Dangerous too. Stay far away from him and those red-eyed freaks if you value your safety or your sanity. Oh, now you're getting back to it. Or I wonder, did Vere know Ice before he went into the salt water, still water, whatever the water is called? I don't know. Is that why you scolded me for going to the sea spring? Sea spring. I really don't think Ice is as bad as you're saying. Well, we watched him murder a man in an alley, so I think we did. You don't know him, not like I do. Yeah, like Vere's dangerous and like a bit of an ass, but Ice is less of an ass. He gets straight to the point. He's not gonna tease you. Vere's gonna tease you before he kills you. Ice is just gonna take you out back. The corner of his lip twitches. I'd say Mhin, but clearly you two aren't meant for each other. You hate Mhin and the doctor. I've got to admit, I was surprised to see that you and Mhin know each other. Are you friends? Do you think they're friends? Oh yes, we laugh and go shopping and have sleepovers where we braid each other's hair and kiss with a little tongue. That's you and Ice, actually. I'm beginning to wonder if Vere's ever had friends. Let me guess, you don't like them? Can't stand them. The first time we met, they stabbed me. Well, what did you do to them? Because if the first time you met them is similar to what you did to me, I stabbed you too. I wanted to stab you, but that wasn't an option. All I could do was sit there and be afraid and react. Slid cold hard steel between my ribs, nearly nicked my heart. It was quite exquisite. The knife, I mean, some sort of antique. Mhin's done nothing but disappoint me ever since. So you're not that close. Yeah, Morgana. Can you imagine me being friends with that crabby little killjoy? Impossible. Not unless they learn to lighten up. And I'm afraid not even a surgeon as practiced as Kuras can remove the stick wedged firmly up Mhin's pert ass. Pert is crazy. Alright, Leander. What do you think about Leander? I don't. An unusually curt answer for Vere. I don't buy it. So you're not very fond of him? I wouldn't spit on Leander if he were on fire. Vere shudders. Oh no, he'd enjoy that far too much. To call Leander trash would be an insult to Manure. Okay, I'm glad that Vere knows that Leander really is a freak. Like, I said that with the hand thing, and I don't know, I haven't looked into the fandom, and the full game's not out, so I don't know if like anybody else is caught up on that or anything, but that scene was crazy. So the fact that Vere is saying this too is like making me feel better. He's a pathetic, slimy little man-child in big shiny shoes. I've seen mutts running in gutters with far more dignity. Okay, this is oddly specific, and so it's making me think of like like they're both kind of himbos, right? And just in different ways. Vere's just a high-class himbo, whereas Leander is just a himbo for the people. And I think that that's where Vere's distaste is coming from. If Leander was a high-class himbo, Vere would not have a problem with him at all. Like, what's the only difference is that Vere is just more of, besides with ice, apparently, it's just a bit more of a top, whereas Leander is just a bottom. That's all it is. That's all it is. He only switches with ice, and everyone else he tops. Leander bottoms from the jump. Like, you think... I'm not gonna keep explaining this. But that's where I'm going with this. That's my hypothesis. I have to remember to close my mouth. Before I can ask my next question, Vere gives a frustrated growl. Don't you dare ask me about another soul. I want to ask about Kuras. I haven't got all night for idle gossip. But I wasn't finished asking. You get 2 more questions. Make them count. So much for being helpful, but I suppose that's just how information works in this exhausting city. No more time for idle chatter. I'll get straight to the point. Okay, so... Does he get annoyed after 3 people were asked about anyway? Or is it just because I know he really doesn't like the doctor. So is the game's AI set so like if you ask about everyone except for the doctor, that he'll be like, I know what's coming next, and just stop you right there? Like if I started with the doctor, would he be like, never ask me another question? Because I started with Ice and he was having a great time. Leander told me that the Cenobium imprisons people. Did he mean you? Leander's a moaning fool with a throbbing victim complex. That's not what I thought was coming after that word. He loves to see himself as a savior, but the only difference between his cronies and the Cenobium stooges are the uniforms. Fair enough. I'm at a loss for words. I don't know what surprises me more, the bluntness with which Vere spoke, or the venom lacing his ordinarily silken voice. Yeah, I said that Vere was not a nice person, but he was truthful. But being truthful doesn't mean that he's right or wrong, it just means that's his truth. I do fully believe that what did they call it? The Bloodhounds? The Bloodhounds can be very gang-like, like just based off of how they reacted when I asked a simple question in the bar in the first episode was crazy. But they were also willing to like fight that one guy who was about to punch us in the face because he started trouble in their bar, in their territory. So I'm sure that they, protect the cities and all that as much as they can. I don't know how much protecting they're doing considering they were all getting drunk while I was about to get killed by a soulless, but I guess that's where where Vere's opinion of them being generally the same comes into play. So I have to agree with Vere and Kuras that, Leander means good, and he's a good leader who doesn't want to be, or he's a leader who probably shouldn't be, if that makes sense. I don't know. He's a flawed leader, to put it lightly, which I can definitely see. You're asking who, wait. Yeah, you're asking who when you should be asking why, says the asshole, counting my questions. The look he throws me is infuriatingly self-satisfied. Fine. Why were you imprisoned? For the same reason they'll disappear you, given half the chance. I'm something special. Yeah, they'll use... I feel like if we go to the Cenobium and we explain this curse to them, we're hoping that they give us a cure and be benevolent and everything. But if what Vere is saying is true, like Kuras said that Vere is trapped for a reason, and Vere is saying it's because he's special, has something going on. Ice didn't say anything about his imprisonment, and I had Mhin, I don't remember what Mhin said. It wasn't nice though. But if that's the case, I could definitely see them. They didn't just imprison him for funsies. They imprisoned him. Now he's being used to hunt soulless. So I could definitely see the Cenobium, as little as we know about them, using our hands, like saying, oh, we're going to need you to work for us while we find a cure, quote unquote, look for a cure. And we're really just going to be doing experiments and driving people to madness in their final moments. You know what I mean? Like, the backstory I chose, our character was brought up by a woman who turned out to really just be wanting to use our cure for our ability and our curse for her own personal gain. And that woman was a cleric, or, you know, was someone who went to the Cenobium Academy and graduated from there. And, you know, not to judge an entire academy, and clearly she's didn't live in the city any longer or anything like that, but what makes her think that, you know, others aren't going to be the same from the Cenobium? Vere bows his head, gathering his hair in his hands and lifting it from his shoulders to bear the plain leather collar adorning his neck. See this collar? He cranes his neck, inviting me to lean closer. Looks unremarkable, doesn't it? Maybe to the untrained eye, but there's an enchantment just barely visible, like letters embossed on old parchment. Intricate yellow spellwork has been inscribed on the collar. If I touched it, I might be able to figure out what kind of magic it holds. Touch the collar. I reach for it to touch the buckle, but Vere's hand lashes out. Long, slender fingers wrap around my wrist, exerting just enough pressure to hint at how easily he could snap my bones. Don't you know better than to touch without asking? Says the dude who grabbed us in the street this morning. He touched like a scolding teacher, but an impish smile grazes his lips. You didn't ask me first, that's what I said. Didn't ask me first, so why should I? Our eyes meet and he grins. Because I said so. That's not very fair. Fuck fairness. Life's not fair. His voice lowers to a pleased rumble. Patience, Morgana. I'll tell you when and how you can touch me. Okay. I just want to touch the collar. I don't really want to touch you. Behave or I'll make you bleed. Fear. Huh, the masochists are definitely choosing his route, aren't y'all? Don't be shy. I know what you guys are into. He says it with a smile so sweet it hurts. Is that a threat or a promise? Based off of, I want to play Baldur's Gate 3, so I'm staying away from like a lot of spoilers, but based off all the Asterion thirst and like the clips that I've seen like on TikTok, I know what y'all are into. Is that a threat or a promise? Vere doesn't seem to answer. Vere doesn't answer me, but he lets go of my arm. I smooth down my bandages, more to get a grip than anything else. I can't lose my composure again. By now, I'd fully expected Vere to begin walking away, but the fact that he's still here suggests that he either forgot about his warning, or he was never counting my questions to begin with. Are you saying this is what happens if the Cenobium finds out I'm different? I'll be collared? Doubtful. They keep me around because I'm the best at what I do. And what exactly do you do so well? Kill things. Killing? Yeah, I've figured. He says it carelessly without hesitation. As long as I wear this collar, I'm made to hunt the Cenobium's dizzying array of enemies. Monsters, soulless, noisy dissidents who grow overbold. I'm bound by their will until the day I die. That's awful. Well, weren't you like a serial killer before? I don't know if that's true, but it's what I'm going with. Vere murmurs in agreement. It is, isn't it? And that's all you're getting from me. I really must leave now, I'll be late. That's it? Why'd you bring me here if you weren't going to explain anything? He has the nerve to laugh. Isn't that obvious? I wanted to lure you out here alone so I could eat you. You're lying again. And you're asking far too many questions for someone hiding so much. He sneers and reflectively I shove my hands deep into my cloak. What makes you think I'm hiding anything? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's the tough act or the way you always tense up at the slightest provocation. More likely it's the bandages. Not exactly subtle, Yeah, girl, wear some long sleeves, some gloves. Like, you don't need to... She's sitting here like with bloody bandages, hiding them every time someone looks down. Of course they're gonna look at your bandaged hands, bro, unless it's a fashion statement like this guy. Like, put some gloves on. I'll be going, unless you're willing to share some morsels with me. There's a biting edge to his playful tone. I can't tell you anything. We don't really have anything to tell. We have one secret. Wrong. He can start with what you are. Clearly, he knows something I don't. Actually, none of the backstories had an option for parents, did it? Like, we're adopted or an orphan in all of them, right? I guess we're not fully human. I take a step backward, but my back hits a wall as Vere follows me in lockstep. I turn only to find his left hand resting on the wall beside my head, caging me in. Yeah, I guess we're gonna have an alley scene with every single one of them. Vere reaches for me, his fingers curl around my chin and lift, forcing me to meet his lidded gaze. Would you believe me if I said that the eyes were the windows to the soul? Yes. My eyelid twitches. Cliché, I know. Let me tell you a little secret. Vere leans in until his lashes tickle my cheek, and the warm, faintly spiced scent of his hair drowns out the stench of greasy cooking fires and chimney smoke. There's nothing you can hide from me. Eh? His voice is so low, so supple that I could slip into it. The misery born of your mistreatment haunts you. I understand what it's like to be used and thrown away. Okay. So the specific backstory that I chose resonates deeply with Vere. So I feel like if we chose the rogue backstory, Mhin would resonate deeply with it. And if we chose the Oracle one, perhaps Kuras and Leander would resonate deeply with it. Ice is going to be like a neutral one, I think, regardless, I think. Okay. So maybe I'll do Vere's path first when the game comes out. Vere and Kuras are my top 2 picks. Vere, Kuras, and Ice are my top 3. I'm not a Vere girl, but this is kind of interesting me because he keeps hinting at, I'm not sure if this is generally speaking or because of the backstory that I chose, but he keeps hinting that he knows so much more about us and empathizes with what we've gone through a lot because he's in a similar situation, but I'm assuming he probably came from a similar situation as well. I'll give your life new meaning. How are you gonna give my life new meaning when you're in chains? I swallow thickly. How could he possibly know? No, this must be some kind of trick. When he smells, does he get like memories or something from that? I don't know. But for once, Vere isn't smiling. All that suffering has made your soul so irresistible. Oh, okay. So I think he eats souls or something, and he can kind of sniff out like pain or in like specific types of pain. So he might not know exactly details, but he can get a general idea of like, oh, I'm lonely. The person I thought I could trust betrayed me. I don't have anyone else. Have this going on. So like he probably knows we have a curse, but he doesn't know exactly what it is. Okay. His piercing eyes pin me to the spot. The look on his face makes my blood run cold. I've seen it before. Traveling through the waste, the lanterns would occasionally reveal carcasses picked clean by starving scavengers whose eyes shone in the dark with the same ravenous hunger. Are you a literal cannibal? Vere takes a shuddering breath. You're trembling. What if you and I went somewhere quieter, alone? No. You gotta play to get to, Vere. I'm not gonna interrupt your performance time. You know, we all need entertainment here and there in the form of music, you know. Surrender, resist him. No. Part of me wants nothing more than to let him take me, to surrender completely to him. It would be so easy. But I'm not about to give up now. You're late. The ludist. That's exactly what I said. Exactly. You're gonna be late. You should. The ludist, you know, his solo is gonna be over by the time you get there. You gotta go. Vere blinks. His voice comes out soft and breathy. Shame. He eases back, and for what feels like the first time since he cornered me, I breathe, but my relief is short-lived. Nimble fingers trail down my jaw before closing around my throat. The touch is featherlight and teasing, but my pulse still leaps. One last thing, Morgana. Spoken so softly that the pounding of my heart nearly drowns out his words. Call me a dog again and I'll break you. Understood? Yeah, I get it. His lips curve, but there's no humor in his voice. Yes. Good. As soon as Vere releases me, I sink against the alley to catch my breath. Yeah, I know I was like really anti-Vere because I don't really like teasing and flirting that much. He's grown to be right behind Kuras. Ice has moved down to third. Sorry, Ice. So for me, it's Kuras, Ice. Sorry, my bad. Kuras, Vere, Ice. Leander might be in the middle. Then I think Mhin is at the bottom for now still. But I am much more interested in them than I was before, I will say. He looks down on me, his expression distinctly smug. Let's get one thing straight. I ate a monster 3 times your size for breakfast. 2, actually. The first tasted dreadful, like a fisherman's old ashtray, but that's besides the point. You and I may be alike, but don't ever forget what I am or what I do best. He flashes me a dazzling smile. Morgana? Anyone see Morgana? Is that Leander? Is he like, crap, I lost her? Leander's voice echoes from the direction of the wick. I whip around. I nearly call back before remembering Vere's apparent distaste for Leander. I glance back at Vere. He's gone. Only he's gone, vanished into the dark. I'm left in the deserted alley, trembling with the delirious mixture of exhaustion and excitement. Okay, you know what? I'll give you a pass for that one. Fuck. I let out a long, shaky exhale that condenses in the freezing air. Only once my racing heartbeat slows do I make my way back to the wick, guided by the distant sound of Leander's voice. Alright, so what do you got going on? Vere serves as a warning of dangers posed by the snobium. As cunning as he is curious, Vere finds you fascinating and insists that he can help. But trusting him means entrusting your life to a collared beast with a lethal reputation. Can Vere protect you, or are his honey words a trap waiting to snap shut? Ooh. Okay, I'm much more interested in Vere than I was before. I thought he was just gonna be like a flirty, pretty boy who made a lot of sex jokes. Which he is, but clearly I like that it seems that he's almost protective. I feel like, I'm not gonna say he's protective, like, don't touch her, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like based off of what he's alluded to, and because he can sense or taste what Morgana's gone through, that he's discontrolling, one, because that's his nature, but 2, I think a part of him is also trying to protect us in his own little way, because he can sense how different we are, he knows how weak we are, and a part of him doesn't want people, or possibly just humans, to take advantage of that, right? Like, he doesn't want us to just not even not be taken advantage of, but not be able to live up to a fuller potential, right? Like, he's collared and everything now, but he's still full capacity killer. And he just chooses to be the way he is for funsies, but he could easily not be. Whereas us, we could easily cause a lot of damage, but we can't control, we have no strength. Like, it's one thing to be like, oh, I can protect myself, but I'm choosing not to use violence because blah, 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 blah. Excuse me. And I don't want to hurt anybody. But it's really like, we can't control it. Anyone touches our hands, going straight to madness. Yada, yada, yada. If a soulless comes, we can't fight it. If a human attacks us, we can't fight back. Like, all we have is our words and our temper. And that means absolutely nothing. All right. Also, I guess my theory about it, like, it has to be her hands that touch somebody to drive them to madness, because people are like touching her jaw and everything. Though he does have gloves that cover a good bit of his hand, but I'm pretty sure it's specifically the hands. For the second time today, I find myself squeezing through a crowd to reach Leander. Final one, guys, final one. As soon as he sees me, his easy smile fades. Are you all right, Morgana? Oh, so you watched me almost get beat up by a dude? I'm not used to someone looking at me with such earnest concern. I've been through worse today. From the sounds of it, you had quite the day. How are you holding up? You know what? Fine. Well, I'm still alive. That counts for something, right? Exactly. Iridia's not an easy place to live in, but you get used to it eventually. Let's hope so. Leander signals for the bartender. I'm parched. Do you want anything? You know what? Sure do. Give me a drink. Something strong and simple. I want spiced rum. Adventurous, aren't you? I'm gonna have to keep an eye on you. Of course, you'll also need to keep an eye on me. I've lost count of how many I've had. Is that a threat? Deal. I'm joking. Once he's ordered, Leander turns back to me. Did you at least get to try any food? I had some dough. And that's it. Had these fried dough sticks from a vendor near here. Tell him that was 12 hours ago. It's nighttime. You had that before you even met him. As soon as I began describing my meal, his eyes brightened with recognition. The long lads from Mhin stall? You've got to try them with porridge. There's another stall about a block away with these rosewater rice flour cakes. Oh, that sounds delicious. I love rosewater. Take one bite and you'll think you've been transported to some Hightown patisserie. Then bam, you open your eyes and it's the same trash-lined street as always. When he laughs, his hair falls over his eyes. He shakes his head and pushes it back. I'll show you sometime, if you decided to stick around Lowtown, that is. The Iridia Leander describes is far different from the ones I've experienced, but if you live anywhere long enough, I suppose it becomes home. True. It seems like I'll be here for a while. Maybe I'll take you up on that. The bartender returns with a pair of glasses and pushes them our way. Cheers. Leander clinks the glass against mine. I take a deep sip of the malty dark ale, savoring its flavor. Okay, I was close. It's not a malt, but it was surprising finding out that you all know each other. I didn't think Iridia would be so small. Do you know how many times I've tried getting them all in one place? It's impossible, like trying to herd a bunch of soulless. I take it you know them well? Depends. Was there anyone you're curious about in particular? Oh, Mhin's at the top this time. Mhin's interesting. Not very forthcoming, though. Ah, Mhin, my favorite grouchy freelancer. What's your impression of them? They seem lonely. They're pretty irritable. They do seem lonely. I get the feeling that they could use a friend. I think Mhin prefers to be alone. What makes you say that? I've known them since they arrived to Iridia, and they've turned down every attempt I've made. Well, almost every attempt. Whoa! You know what? I was not expecting this, actually. I can see it, but I wasn't expecting it. He trails off to take a deep swig of his drink. Okay, so Ice and Vere have swept together, and Vere clearly feels more strongly about Ice than Ice feels about him. And Leander and Mhin have swept together once, and I think they both look back on it pretty fondly, from what I remember of Mhin's track. Anyway, I'm just saying, if Mhin wanted to be your friend, you'd know. Okay, Kuras. Do you and Kuras work together? Occasionally. Did the mysterious, competent doctor catch your eye? He sure did. He seems like a good person. Yeah. He seems like a good person, though it's hard to believe anyone's a good person these days. That's Kuras. He works hard to serve the people of Lowtown. He's a miracle worker, even if his bedside manner could use some work. I agree. Do you think he might be able to cure my curse? Leander starts to speak, but pauses to consider me for a moment first. Kuras is good, but he's only a doctor. Besides, unless you're actively dying, he'll make you wait in line all day like everyone else. Ice. So you're friends with Ice. Have been for a while, but he's rarely in town. Where'd you run into him? The Sea Spring. Leander chokes on his drink. He coughs violently into his fist before giving me a surprised look. He went all the way out there? How'd he treat you? He was upfront. He was intimidating. A little bit of both, honestly. He was more upfront than intimidating. He was honest. He told me about how the Sea Spring power comes with a heavy price. Losing your mind, becoming one of his funny, brainless pets. He sighs, pausing before he speaks again. Does that sound worth it to you, Morgana? The only pets he has are his soulless. No, all the humans are his pets, baby girl. Yeah, I know. I didn't mean it like that. Ice has my respect and takes care of his own. For a moment, Leander stares deeply into the bottom of his glass. When he looks up again, the circles under his eyes seem deeper than usual. All those red-eyed minions creep me out. Can we talk about someone else? Alright, Vere. What do you know about Vere? Leander shakes his head slowly, his expression grave. Vere, a living example of the Cenobium's cruelty. Most days they keep him on a short leash. I'm surprised you ran into him. Well, he was leashed when I did. So tell me, what'd you make of him? I want to know more. Honestly, he is really rude, but I do want to know more, and I think that's specifically because I just got through talking to him before I did this, but I do want to know more. I want to know more about him. Wouldn't we all? He's mysterious, and not just because the Cenobium keeps him locked up. The way they treat him, it's just not right. Yeah, like he talks like he has all the power and everything, but like yeah, it's bad. Not that he is good, but it's also not good that they pretty much enslaved him. Do you know why he's a prisoner? Murder, probably. Nobody knows. He's been imprisoned for as long as anyone remembers, but whatever he did must have been awful considering the punishment. He's charming, but like any monster, he's dangerous. If you ever see him out hunting, you know what I mean. Well, I know what you mean even without it. Leander swirls his glass, choosing his next words carefully. Don't fall for his looks. He'll rip your throat out for fun. Leander said, hey, he's a pretty boy, but let's be honest here. I'm surprised you haven't slept with him, to be honest. That about covers it. Aren't you tired of standing? Let's find you somewhere to sit. Leander pushes you away from the bar, beckoning me to follow him. He leads me to a small booth hidden in the nook of the bar. A pair of bloodhounds notice him and immediately leap to their seats, offering their seats to us. As I slide into the booth, a web of graffiti scratched into the booth's tabletop catches my eye. The deepest grooves from the outline of the dog from Leander's posters. Dozens of roughly etched names surround the drawing, some fresh, some well-worn. What is all this? It's a tradition. Whenever someone joins the Bloodhounds, they have a drink with us and then they carve in their initials. The barkeeper must love that. After the first year, she finally stopped charging me extra for damages. 2 years and countless drinks later, she added her own name. You're not planning on recruiting me, are you? He quickly shakes his head. Not yet. You need time to think about your own path. Do you know what you're going to try next? The question gives me pause. I take my hands out from under my cloak and rest them on the table. Do you think you can help me? Oh yeah, this is the only person she can touch as far as we're aware. Probably won't be for long, but he's the only person she can actually touch. Of course, we can find answers together. Leander starts to reach for me as though meaning to take my hand before stopping himself. His eyes flicker to mine. We love consent. I won't fail you, Morgana. And if you ever need a taste of normalcy, I'll always be here for you. Yeah, I know what that normalcy means. I think she said that she's had partners before. Yeah, she said that she's had partners before, but I'm not sure if she was physical with them or if it was just emotional. My chest tightens at the memory of touching him. Even now? Leander swallows. The table groans under his elbows as he leans forward. The booth is so narrow that he completely blocks my view from the bar counter. It's almost as though Leander and I are completely alone. Okay, but you're not. Take it up to the back alley. Everyone else at least takes me to an alley. Come on now, be respectful. If that's what you want. How did it make you feel? It was warm? Exciting? I don't know how to describe it. Leander rests his right hand on the table. He looks at me, smiling when I place my hand in his. Slowly, he begins unwinding the bandages, stopping every so often to glance at me. As my skin becomes visible, I cast a nervous glance around the bar, but as far as I can see, no one is paying us any attention. Leander squeezes my hand gently. No one will notice. This is literally just them holding hands and it's being treated like they're being exhibitionists. This is crazy. He pulls back, raising his hand to his mouth so he can tug his glove off with his teeth. I need you to wrap it up, Leander. I should have did his first to get it over with. The muscle in his forearms tightens as he flexes his fingers. Our eyes meet and Leander offers his hand again. There you go. Hand holding on demand. A lump forms in my throat. I'm certain Leander sees it in my face, the flicker of desperation. His voice lowers to a whisper. Anything you want, Morgana. All right. Touch his hand. I reach out, allowing the tips of my fingers to glide along the lines of his palm. Oh, I don't know. He's into it. He likes it. He shudders with a nervous laugh. That tickles. Emboldened, I twine our fingers together and give an experimental squeeze. His hand is soft. Somehow I expected it to be more rough. But he's a magic user, not really much of a fighter. He's probably gotten into a few fights, but it's not really his thing, I don't think. Leander looks from our hands to me and smiles. Nice, isn't it? Yeah. I think it's really interesting that Leander, who's someone who like is well known to just like sleep around, that they also talk about how good of a person he is. So he clearly just likes to see others enjoy himself. Like, I mean, he likes to help others enjoy themselves, obviously. But like, he's not being teasing or rude or calling it boring that we're just so fascinated to just be touching someone's hand because we've never gotten a chance to hold hands with someone before. So like Morgana says she's had partners before and everything. She's never got to like walk down the road and hold their hand or anything like that. Like the person who raised her before she realized the betrayal, like she probably never had her mother figure like hold her hand walking to the market or like to pick flowers or anything like that because it was impossible. So this is probably, he's being very gentle with her and he's not teasing her. That's something that could seem so childish, means the world to her, which I do think is really sweet and says a lot about his character. I've done this once already, but it still makes me lightheaded. I'm not sure if I'll ever get used to this. And yet I want to be even closer. My heart hammers, filling my ears with a pulse that grows unbearably loud until I pull my hand back. Are you all right? I could barely hear his words over my pounding heart, but I managed to nod. Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry, I think I'm just getting a little dizzy. Girl. He gives me a gentle smile, eyes crinkling at the edges. You've had a long day. You deserve some rest. Luckily, your room is upstairs. He had the shortest scene out of all of them, which makes sense. We weren't getting much exposition from him. Want me to walk you back? I shake my head and begin wrapping my hand up. With each deep breath, my head feels more clear. I'm fine, but thanks for, well, everything. Remember what I told you, if you ever need a break from the chaos of the city, I'll be here for you. When I rise, Leander gives me one last smile. Good night, Morgana. Good night, Leander. Night. I trudge up the stairs, but even as I leave Leander behind, the warmth of his skin still lingers on mine, burning through the bandages. All right, Leander. Leander offers you something that should be impossible. A taste of normalcy, free of your curse. As the first person to withstand your touch, he could change your life. But some things are simply too good to be true. Leander promises to help unravel your curse, but at what cost? All right. So with that all said and done, don't forget to support the creators by visiting their website, following them on Twitter and Instagram, and just supporting them in general. I'm so excited for this game to come out. Y'all have no idea. I don't know who I am most excited to play with. I think Kuras, definitely. But that last moment with Vere has definitely caught my attention. So I think honestly, when the game comes, I know I'm gonna record at least one route, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna do all of them, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna record them or not. We'll figure that out once we get there, I guess. But I don't know. Vere has definitely climbed the ranks. I did not really care much about him at first, but this recording definitely made me consider him a lot more, and as with Ice as well. So yeah, I'm so excited for this game to come out. I'm so excited to know more about these characters and the world around them, and about ourselves, because I'm not sure if Vere seems to pick up a bit more about our past, because he keeps asking, what are we? And as far as I, Momo, am aware, that we're human. We're a human with a curse who studied magic. But clearly we're something more, and so this curse might be something different or not what it seems, you know? So I don't know. I'm so interested. I have so many theories and everything. I'm gonna definitely be watching this studio closely from when this game is released. And yeah, I'm gonna be keeping my eye on it for sure. So with that all said and done, you all let me know which character is your favorite so far and who you're most excited to see. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.